ain't meaty man slapping me.
Yo, what's poppin'? Oh, my peeps, it is I, your host with the most, Renaissance man, who always thinks he can, and champion of the peeps, Patty Pitts, back in the yard streams for another edition of the Raw Rewind, part of Pitts and Sara's wrestling show, where we take no nights off. You can't have the Raw Rewind without the best of the West. You can't forget about Sara Marshall. What's popping, girl?
Hey, yo.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
What are we going to talk about?
I don't know.
It's like, it's not really much going on.
No.
You know, it's just pretty uneventful show last night. Not a lot happened.
That's what some people think, but
yeah, if you're not intelligent people like you and I and the rest of the peeps in the chat,
I think people were just building it up to be way bigger than they thought it was. Like they were like, it's giving Raw after Mania vibes. So I was like, it's really not though.
Yeah,
like,
what it gives Raw after Mania what it should have been.
Yeah, I mean that would have been a way better show than what we got this year. But also I'm like, guys, you already got the returns you wanted. So like, what did you think was going to happen? Like,
it's
you
the
weren't.
Expectations.
I think that people were just setting themselves up to be disappointed, and now they're like mad about it. It's like no one made you disappointed other than yourself. You
exactly.
know? Like,
it makes no sense. It's just, I think it was, or whatever. That was an awesome episode because it feels like it's a new regime. Like it just feels new, and by that I mean they're bringing back stuff that was pretty much like it was pretty. They were bringing back stuff from the Attitude Era, and
yes.
they're also booking it to the fans, and everything has a flow. If you look at the top of the hours, what happened at each top of the hour?
Yeah.
I mean, we'll get into it obviously, but it was a promo, and then it set up.
And people need to settle because like Survivor Series just happened, and now there's 9 weeks until the Royal Rumble, so they're not going to come out swinging on the first Raw after the last pay-per-view of the year when they have 9 weeks or whatever 9 weeks I think to fill.
Yeah,
like they can't come out and have like the best possible Raw right away, because then it's like, okay, well, what are you going to do for the rest of the time between now and the Rumble? Like you can't have everything great happen at the beginning, like
no,
but
no, it's you gotta let things play out.
Yeah,
it's if you don't let things play out, then it's rushed and it's not done well.
Yeah,
I mean, for people that wanted certain things to be bigger than what they were, like chill out. We have 9 weeks. You just said we have 9 weeks before the next pay-per-view. Like you gotta let things breathe. I mean, even the littlest interactions right now could mean so much in the future. So, like, chill out.
Yeah.
Whoa, take it easy, man.
Yep, I agree.
I do want to get to this comment because I feel like we don't have a topic bar really about this.
Not about Becky. No.
That's what I was. Yeah, Becky.
Yeah.
I didn't think we saw one. We don't know Becky's direction. Nia Zoe could have been replaced with something with more energy. I mean, yeah. I'm referring to Nia Zoe. Like, cool. I understand why they did it. It doesn't really bother me. With Becky, she's going to just be a floater. It feels like.
I feel like that's kind of what she needs to be right now, because they were just using her in NXT and then they added her to the War Games match. I feel like it's probably just going to take a little bit for them to figure that out, because then she had her match with Xia Li, and then Xia Li was down in NXT. So I feel like they probably don't necessarily know exactly what they're going to do with Becky, but I mean, I don't think it should be a concern really. Like, I think they'll figure it out,
Yeah,
like
she had
there's not a clear direction with really any of them other than Damage Control that were in the War Games match. You know what I mean? Like, what's Charlotte doing? What's Bianca doing? What's Shotzi going to be doing? Like, there's no clear thing there, but I'm intrigued. I mean, I don't think that they will have those guys like on the sideline for very long, given who they are,
I think Becky had a very interesting end to her promo. I forget what it specifically was, but it was very ambiguous. And
Mm-hmm.
it just this perfect way to end it. And so that's where you're like, all right, Becky's going to be here, she's gonna be there. But
Yeah.
point is, she doesn't need to be. There's too
Yeah.
much going on, as we are
Yeah.
going to talk about, which Sarah, let go. What we
Okay.
got?
Uh, so first, we know that Randy Orton returned at Survivor Series, and I think it was the best decision to have him start Raw because some thought that his return was upstaged by CM Punk's return. I beg to differ. But I think it was the right move to have him start. And I mean, my main takeaway is just
Daddy's back.
Oh, I didn't see you add that in the library.
I'm gonna keep this just
Daddy's back.
anyway, so Randy he comes out and this is the first time he got on the mic since he returned, so I think that we were kind of all expecting him to say exactly what he said. What I noticed what I took away from this the most though was you could see how impactful it was for him to finally be back in the ring and make his entrance and be able to do everything that he normally does. You could just see he was soaking it all in. It was kind of emotional. And that's why I even tweeted it's crazy to think about how long it's been since we've seen him. And he probably, there were mixed reports about whether or not he was ever going to be back because he had back fusion surgery. So that's not, so it's not like that's something that they, a lot of people come back from. So he was just saying that he missed everybody. He has plans to stay as long as he physically can, and said that it meant a lot to him to be able to participate in his first War Games match, especially alongside Cody, because of course Dusty created the match. And he said, which was I think the most significant thing, that he has unfinished business with the Bloodline, which now we know he's going to be on SmackDown. At least Barclays Center is saying that he's going to be on SmackDown. And I know, but this is a thing too, and I'll ask your opinion. So I think that they need to have Randy on SmackDown. I think that it needs to be Randy or Punk, and Punk doesn't scream SmackDown to me. But I don't think that they can have Cody, Seth, Randy, Punk, Gunther. They can't have Drew McIntyre. They can't have all these people on Raw. So I would like to think that maybe this is their way of he mentioned the Bloodline. Maybe he's going to eventually get moved to SmackDown.
That's what he mentioned, the Bloodline. He's in wrestling, kind of the KO theory, where when you mention someone or something, it happens in wrestling. And when you mention that you have unfinished business with the Bloodline, and the Bloodline is really not on Raw, it's not, only one defect from it. And we've been saying, I think you even said it a couple episodes ago, the Bloodline story is dead. Well, what's one way to revive it? By having someone that they wronged come back to get vengeance on them. And not only just them, you could potentially get a Roman Randy feud eventually because of what happened, but you're going to get Jimmy versus Orton. You're going to get Solo. And that's another big name for Solo to go up against. So doing it in that way while still connecting it to the overarching Bloodline story, brilliant. It's no reason CM Punk should be on SmackDown yet. And I know the Sports Illustrated reports that, it's going to be Seth, then Roman, whatever. Yeah, that's great, but not right now. Doesn't make sense. So send Randy over there.
Yeah, and I don't know how they'll make it official because Randy wasn't drafted. So technically he's not on either brand. And we know that there are guys that are considered free agents. Most of them I think are gone from the company now.
They are.
But Randy could do that so that, he can still go from show to show whenever he wants. But I think, yeah, he needs to go to SmackDown. They need to have some sort of, I mean, not that they're lacking, but if they're not going to have Roman around for however long, like it would be really good to have a guy like Randy over there to kind of like help carry the show alongside like LA Knight, because like they're lacking, I guess, star power over there in comparison to Raw. I don't know.
Oh, they're lacking star power.
Yeah,
More than
I just
Raw,
don't
for
mean it in a
sure.
mean way. It just sounds bad, but what
No,
I
it
mean.
does sound bad when it comes off the tongue, but I mean, the truth
Yeah.
hurts.
Yeah. So Rhea Ripley, mommy, interrupted.
Mommy's back.
Yeah, she interrupted Randy and she immediately just mocks him for being out for so long and then having his return upstaged by Punk.
That was
And
awesome.
then she also says that he aligned himself with the wrong people because like why would you be in a match with a guy that helped take you out for 18 months? I mean, girl, I question it too. But she says Judgment Day will take you out permanently, which then leads to JD and Dom ambushing him. But of course, Randy gets the best of them, hits them with RKOs, suplex, whatever. And he sets up a match with Dom for later in the show, which my immediate thought about this was, other than like, ha, Dom is such a lucky little to be in the matches that he's had with the people.
Right place, right time, man. I mean,
like, that has to be somewhat surreal,
And it doesn't feel like the Nepo, oh, it's Rey Mysterio's kid.
Right.
He's gonna get these opportunities. No, he's the best heel in the company on his own for doing the complete opposite of what you do with nepotism and going out on his own, doing his thing.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Because his career started that way, like alongside his dad, which made sense though, because he was brand new and just learning the ropes and the shows and whatever. And then once he was able to step out on his own, turn heel, go through that whole situation with his dad, it's like that match was a long time ago, 6 months ago when they had it at Mania. So it's like he's done a lot on his own. It's not the same at all. Like the only thing that you could even claim about nepotism at this point is the fact that he uses Mysterio as a last name. Otherwise, it's like there's not a big connection between him and Ray, like consistently. You know what I mean? Like 100%. Not the way that like he's not. Sorry, I have something in my throat. It's not the same the way of like Charlotte, where it's like she has a remixed version of her dad's music, comes out with a robe, uses woo, uses like his moves. Like he doesn't do all of that. So it's like I think you can kind of separate it the two. And so I felt like this has to be pretty cool for him. I mean, it's Randy Orton. Cool.
And JD McDonough, I had a tweet last night that JD McDonough was neck strong. No one liked it. I was very upset.
I wanted to. I think I forgot because I was like scrolling through, but I kind of like LOL'd at that. But I only know of it because of the little AEW knowledge that I have. But
neck strong, take you on.
Okay. Anyway, so Dom versus Randy, it basically, as it says, it served its purpose. It was just basically a match for Randy to get back into the swing of things. And then, of course, to have that like interaction with Jelly Roll. And I loved Randy, though, like when he's like, oh, what's that smell? And I'm just like, oh, my God, why does he always have to like allude to like weed? Like he's always doing something like that. And I'm like, you should know you were RK Bro. So
I mean, when you're around it.
Yeah.
It's second nature.
Yeah. So it was fine. It is what it is. I mean, I
have no idea.
Thought this was like a great return for him. And I mostly.
Daddy's back.
That's all I really care about. So, I mean, he's not wrong. So
how you pop when he said that.
Oh my gosh, I was like watching it, I think with my sister and my nephew, and I like turned to her and I was like, Randy, stop. Like, stop it. Like, Randy, stop. Yeah. So
I was in tears. That was so funny. He said that was like perfect. Yes.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, Randy.
And we were like, yes, daddy. And then we move on to the tag team turmoil match, which I have to say was an A+. Okay. I might not have loved the result. Yeah. But it was good.
They need tag team turmoil matches more. It reminds me of the early 2000s. Not even amateur, just early 2000s wrestling when tag teams were the shit. And tag teams were not running the show, but they were the fun part of the show that got the crowd just hyped.
It reminded me too of the last one that they did where Pretty Deadly came in last and they won, and then they were telling everyone that they had beaten 5 other teams.
Just like,
And
and
they were all like, "You came in last. Like you did not beat everybody." And they were like, yes, we did." And I was like, "Kings." So yeah. Otis and Tozawa started the match for Alpha Academy against DIY, which I thought was an interesting pairing. But I wasn't mad about it. DIY ended up taking out Alpha Academy, and then we're joined by Indus Sheer, who they are now deciding that they care about them again, because I'm kind of confused how they were being hyped, and then they kind of just like went invisible. Like they fell off the face of the planet for months, but
yeah,
I don't know what's up with that. And I was legitimately shocked that they were pinned by DIY. And I know that it was like, it wasn't like they dominated in this year, but like I was thrown off because I felt like the second that they came out, I was like, okay, they're going to be in the final 2 or something, because like they're coming out against the 2 smallest guys other than Tozawa.
Exactly.
So I was kind of surprised about that, but I'm thinking maybe they want to eventually have like an Indus Sheer versus DIY thing, maybe, or something. I don't know.
Yeah, my logic with that goes that they needed the Creeds to have as much time as possible.
Yeah.
So I mean, for Indus Sheer to just get a roll up pin, going off where you say like they'll be so pissed that happens. So yeah, then you get DIY. I mean, Imperium tease next week.
Yeah.
So like the Indus Sheer point is Indus Sheer is going to be on television and feuding with somebody at some point. We are here for it.
They should be feuding with like the Authors of Pain whenever they'll bring them back, because they're employed, but they're just like
they're in the
missing,
internal roster, and they're a program. They were in the program.
I know. Right? So yeah, and this is just another prime example of why they need to split the tag titles. Okay, there are way too many tag teams, and it just starts to make me nervous, because you know that WWE loves to split up tag teams that are perfectly fine. So I don't want that to happen. But anyway, so DIY is in the ring, and they are joined by the Creed brothers, and that's when you knew immediately that the Creeds were going to win. So the Creeds take out DIY, they then take out the New Day, and they are last met by Imperium. And I was a little bit bummed, honestly, because right when I looked at who was in it, I was like, okay, if it's not Indus Sheer, because they're like trying to push them, and they're like clearly the biggest dudes in the match. If they don't win, then it's going to be the Creeds. So I was a little bit bummed that, they won and Imperium guys didn't win, but I was happy that Imperium were the last team to come in, and that it wasn't a match that lasted literally like 2 minutes, before they lost. I was glad that they at least had like a 5-minute or so, or a little bit longer match. So it wasn't just like, okay, the Creeds are going to come out there and just make you look dumb. So I was happy about that. And, given who the tag team champions are right now, it seemed unlikely that Imperium was going to win anyway. So it looks like we will be getting Judgment Day versus the Creeds at some point, because I don't believe that they said anything about when that match will be happening.
Yeah, did you see what I'm trying to time this right? Did you see what Finn said post match?
No.
So after they cut backstage, Finn walks in.
Oh, right, yeah, where he was like, "Oh, they look a little like
those guys are not to be taken lightly."
Yeah.
And it's little stuff like that for backstage segments that make it seem not only better, but you're putting over the younger talent. It's
also very
more realistic
to say that.
Huh?
It's very unheel like for any of them to like admit that, like, oh, like our next matchup is like, oh wow, they're like kind of tough, because like heels are supposed to be like, no, we're dominant, we're gonna beat you. So obviously if they're having Judgment Day say that, they want to push that narrative about the Creeds.
It's incredible that they're doing that for the Creeds. Like, it's freshly new.
They are insane. They are an insane tag team.
Absolutely insane. They are so insane. The shit they do in the ring is just.
Yeah, I liked listening to the commentary during this match too. Wade and Michael Cole are phenomenal, but they were during this match too, they were just so good. especially hyping up the Creeds. They were like obsessed with them.
Cole's so good at reacting. I mean,
Yeah.
the little potential botch, whatever you want to call it, for Julius,
Yeah.
and immediately doesn't even seem like it
Mhm.
because it doesn't even skip a beat. He just gets right back up, boom, and
Yeah.
hits it. Even Cole was going ballistic, like, oh, how do you do
Yeah.
that? Oh, like,
Yeah.
absolutely incredible.
I agree. I really like them together. I think that they work well together. Like they really balance each other out. And Cole sounds like he's actually enjoying himself talking to Wade, because I think sometimes you can tell like the vibes are off, but not with Wade. I don't feel like.
Oh no, Wade is always
Stupid.
supply.
Stupid.
Stupid.
Wade bar. Okay, did you want to get to some comments?
Yes.
Wade bar.
But
Wade bar. Stupid.
I got some bad news for ya.
I still can't believe him and Alicia Fox were a thing. So
Really?
yeah, that was like the first season of Total Divas. She was like heartbroken. She was like obsessed with him, and he like didn't want to be with her anymore or something. It was weird.
Alicia, I got some bad news for you.
Yeah. Stupid. Want nothing to do with you. Alicia.
Oh
Anyway.
my god. Yeah, I like. Here we go, Dickie. I like Tag Team Turmoil, but I wish DIY lasted longer and Ensure lost way too quickly. But Creed deserved to win. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
If there is a team to dethrone Judgment Day right now, I would like it to be the Creeds. Whoa.
For just the Raw titles, maybe. How dare you?
All right.
How dare you?
You know I'm a sucker for the baby faces. The
I
Creeds,
know.
they're awesome.
Ugh.
The bowling Brutus or whatever it is, the bowling ball or that movie's
The
electric.
Brutus ball, I think is
The
what they call
Brutus
it.
ball, the Brutus
Something
ball.
like yeah.
Oh my god. It's just they need to do something with these tag team titles because I want the Creeds to win and be champions. You clearly want Imperium to break the Usos record of longest reign. And then you also have other guys like Pretty Deadly. You have, I mean, not the Broncos anymore. You have the Street Profits. You have, I'm trying to think of someone else. Indus, we just said. I mean, there's just so many teams that deserve a shot at least, or to be in a tag team title match.
Mm-hmm.
You're kind of keeping them a little hostage by having Judgment Day hold them. And that's the case. That's the thing. It's hold them, not just hold the title, the Raw or the SmackDown. It's because it's both. You're really pigeonholing yourself in the tag division.
Yeah, I think that the problem that they have now, I would assume, is just trying to figure out a way to split them that makes sense. You know, like I think that's the part that's kind of tricky, because we can say all day, like, oh, like they can just challenge them for one set, but it's also like, why would anyone who wants to challenge the tag champion say, I only want to go for the Raw ones? You know, like that doesn't make any sense. So there has to be some sort of way that they split them. Whether it's involving Pierce and Aldis maybe being like, okay, well, we want, the tag titles on each show because we have so many good tag teams on each show. Maybe they have to have a match where, like, if they lose, they split them, and whoever wins, something where it's like if they lose the match and they lose one set or something, something like that. Or they have to forfeit, which I don't think they should forfeit.
No, they shouldn't forfeit.
They have to earn the loss or something. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you got to have like Dick here. We have the only way to see is triple threat ladder match, and then you have like two teams go for it, or one person goes for one, the other goes for other, or a double pin where like Judgment Day hits a finisher, Creed's it theirs or something, and then it's like a double pin situation, and the ref's like, well, there's two sets of belts, you're both winners.
Well, it could also be they have split matches. So like one match this week will be on Raw and it'll be for the Raw tag titles. So it'll be like Raw tag teams or whatever, including Judgment Day, and they have to do it, and then they can do that on SmackDown as well, But I think in that way they still need to let Judgment Day hold at least the Raw ones. I don't think that they should just lose them because they're splitting them. I think that you can give them the Raw ones at least.
Yeah, because they're still a good tag team.
Yeah, because they can feud with tag teams on Raw. I don't think that just because they're splitting them means that they should lose them, because they haven't done anything to lose them.
Yeah, and they're pretty dominant.
Mm-hmm.
And
I agree.
Judgment Day has all the gold.
Mm-hmm.
All the gold. Um, ooh, it's next week potentially.
Oh,
Ooh.
okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure. I didn't remember if they had said it or not.
And then, rather title merger, get rid of the blue and red belts. You can split and do a new design.
That's what I think they need to do. I
They
think
need
that
to
they
do.
need to keep the split because I think we have way too many
Good.
tag teams, yeah, that they can't have just one set because then they're basically in the same situation that they're in right now. But I think it's been time for them to get a redesign because the bronze ones were horrible. These are horrible because it's even worse, like they're silver. Yeah, they need to go back to like I like the direction that they've gone in with more of the like newly redesigned belts, like the world heavyweight is still paying homage to the original, but it's still a different design. The Intercontinental title was completely different, and I feel like they should just go in that similar direction with new tag
Yeah.
titles. And just give them back. It can also be like they can be black leather, or even one of them can be white leather. Like it doesn't matter. Like do something to differentiate them, but it doesn't need to be red and blue. Like
Red and blue feels very cartoony and
it
very
made more
video
sense.
gamey. Like
Well, and it
when I
made
do
more
with the
sense when
nonsense.
there was more drama between the brands, but there's like we're not at that point yet, and I still like even if they get to that point, which they've hinted at, obviously, I still don't like it. Like I don't like the red and the blue.
I don't either.
Yeah. Okay. So we knew coming into
Boom.
Raw, they said that Cody was going to be making an announcement, and I had totally forgot about that. So when he came out, I was like listening, and then he was like, "Oh, I have to announce something," and I was like, "Oh, I forgot." But at first he expresses his gratitude to his teammates for the War Games match because we know he got emotional when he was talking about it at the press conference. Thanked Randy for being a mentor and continuing to be a mentor and letting him be the one to get the pin on Saturday. He also made sure to welcome Punk back, which I think that was strategically planted there.
Elite
Um,
move.
and then he made his announcement, which was declaring for the Royal Rumble. And I was just like, this is so funny to me because we're like not even in December yet. And he's like, I am declaring for the Royal Rumble. I'm like, we're 9 weeks away, bro. Like, he's like, I am the first one to declare. Yeah, dude. It's 9 weeks away.
He's the one. He's the one who's first in line at the Apple Store for a new
Yeah.
iPhone. Like
3
that type of
days, 3
energy.
days ahead of time. That's what, he's like, I've been in line for 73 hours. And you're like, what?
I
Yeah.
love that they had him be the first person to
Mhm.
announce that they're going to be in the Rumble, because I feel obviously before this you're hyping up Survivor Series, War Games, all that,
Mhm.
and the way that the wrestling fans are right now, they need it's immediate gratification all the time. You need
Something to look
something,
forward to.
and going into this week, the only thing they had to look forward to was a made up at this point feud between Rollins and Punk, which
Mhm.
they're obviously not going to get. So you need to give them something to look forward to of substance. And Cody Rhodes announcing that he is going to be in the Rumble. One, business move, sells tickets, obviously, marketing, that's understood. But two, it also gets people thinking Cody's going to do it again, because
Mhm.
he's alluding to I'm finishing the story and how everyone is saying, oh, he's going to do it. I'm at 40. He's going to do it
Mhm.
at 40. He's always going to be. And you're getting that mind going.
Mhm.
So love it, because now
Yeah.
you get the idiots on the Twitter, the Bird app, that are just saying Cody Rhodes WrestleMania 40. Like I saw one today, and I don't hate this account. I love the interaction. I find the account. I'll shout him out here. Actually, I'll do that right now. And he gave a poll about who we think is going to win the Royal Rumble. Gunther wasn't even on it. It
This
was
is oh my god,
it
I don't
was
was
it
like
was it was Cody Rhodes. I'm gonna find this. It was Wrestling Addicts podcast. I'm giving them a follow. They're pretty cool because they responded and actually they wanted Gunther too. They were like, I would love that. Oh shoot, where is it? Where let me just go to my mentions. I'm a bonehead. Oh, it's Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, or Randy Orton with the Royal Rumble 60 days away. Who is the early favorite to
none
win?
of them. None of
None of
them.
them. It is
This is the
none of
thing.
them. It
People
is
okay,
Gunther.
so What I would really like to think, and this is going to be like the first Rumble, obviously, that Triple H will have like full control over. What I would really like for him to do with the winner of the Royal Rumble in both the women and the men's matches is let it be somebody who deserves to get a title shot at Mania, but it doesn't have to be someone who's already been there, you know? And I feel like Cody not winning, first of all, Cody doesn't need to win the Royal Rumble 2 years in a row. Like, stop. CM Punk does not need the Royal Rumble to get a match at Mania. He already has a match at Mania, guys. It's CM Punk. Randy Orton doesn't need to win the Royal Rumble to be at Mania
Randy Orton
either.
wants to win the Royal Rumble
No,
at this point.
like,
I don't think he wants to win.
But I would like we need to start considering other people who like need that to like elevate them. And it's like Cody coming back from injury and like setting his sights on becoming champion. Like he kind of needed the Rumble to like push him into the main event scene in WWE because he hadn't been there yet. You know, like he had those matches with Seth, but even his match at Mania with Seth was not the main event. You know what I mean? And then his match that was the main event was the Hell in a Cell. Then he was injured and gone. So it was like he needed to have like that push. But when we're talking about this upcoming Rumble, there's no reason for like any of those guys to win. And I know that I'm biased, but to me, it's like Gunther is a guy that should be at the top of the list. Like I don't care that people are like, no, I don't want Gunther to win because I don't like him. Like that's not what that doesn't matter. Like it's the fact that he's been Intercontinental Champion for 530 something days. He needs to be in the main event scene, especially by Royal Rumble. He was number 1 in the Royal Rumble last year and lasted all the way till the end. And it's like at this point, in my opinion, he is the only one that makes sense to possibly face Seth Rollins at Mania. Like there's no one else in my mind that it's like, oh, they should have the Rumble, be the Rumble winner and face him. Cody needs to be out of that conversation. It's like you said, he needed to declare because 1, we knew he was going to be in there. 2, like you said, need to sell tickets, blah, 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 the business side of things. And 3, this then reminds you, oh yeah, there's still like, he's still trying to go for the title. He still has problems with the bloodline in Roman. And like, this might be his only way to face Roman, at Mania again. And it's like, I don't think that that's what it's going to be. I think there are ways. I still want them to make it difficult for Cody to get back at Roman, like to get a match at Roman. I feel like that would be so much more satisfying than him winning the Rumble and then doing it again. It's like, no, have him lose the Rumble, maybe put him in an elimination chamber match where he has to like win, because that's another thing. Have whoever wins the Royal Rumble say they want to face Seth, and that keeps Roman open for Mania. So then it's like, okay, put Cody like in an elimination chamber, and maybe it has to be against like Jimmy and Solo and whoever else or whatever. Have him win an elimination chamber match or something. He has to like I said when we talked about it before, like have him go through the ladder of like the bloodline or something, or do stuff that he has to like earn his way back to Roman. And I feel like that's an easy way for Roman to also like manipulate the situation to be like, why do you think that you just deserve to get another match with me? You know, it's like Cody has to go through all of these steps to get there. So I think that's the best.
I just had a brain blast from what you just said. If he has to go through it in an elimination chamber, that there's 6 competitors, 5 open spots. Jimmy, Solo, Finn, Damian, JD.
Maybe, yeah.
Because in the connects with the Paul Heyman Rhea Ripley deal, and
to me, that just like it makes more sense, and I feel like it also is like such an easy way to get the hype for Cody even more. Because if he wins a Royal Rumble, it's like last year, okay, whatever, it was fine. He is coming off of an injury that kept him out for however many months, like whatever, like, but that's not how he should win the title. Like I feel like it will be so much more satisfying if it felt like he had to go through more challenges to finally finish the story. Because otherwise, if he wins the Royal Rumble and that's how he gets another match against Cody, then how difficult was his story?
It's not satisfying at all.
And that's coming from a big Cody fan. I just wanted to like, I want it to be more historic than just, oh, he took down Roman. You know, like you want it to be more of like, oh my gosh, like he came back after this many years away and he fought in that Hell in a Cell match with a torn pec, and then he was out, and then he came back and he won the Rumble, then he lost Mania and he lost his way. Then he came back and wanted to win the Rumble and he didn't. And then he had to fight all these guys to get back to Roman. And then he finally did it. Like, it would be so much better.
You got to think of the documentary. You got to think of the documentary here, people. It's not going to be satisfying if he wins the Royal Rumble twice. How do you make a DVD out of that?
Well, and no one wants to ever see that, especially 2 years in a row.
It's boring as all hell.
It is. It's like, that's why I'm saying it needs to be somebody who like needs to be pushed into the main event scene. So that's why it's like Gunther makes sense. You guys want him to lose the title? Okay, well, that could be possibly a way for him to lose the IC title, would be to have him
Chad Gable.
Oh, yeah, like I said, that he could have. This is why I said the most brilliant booking for him would be to have an IC title match at the Royal Rumble and lose the IC title, then somehow manipulate his way into the Royal Rumble and then win the Rumble. If it's not going to be he wins the Rumble and then just forfeits the title, because I think that would be so iconic. I still love that idea. If that's not in the cards, then have him do that. And that to me is like more heel heat. Take out a favorite, take some guy out that people are like, no, we want him in the Rumble. And he's like, nope. And he like takes his spot. Like, come on. That's how it should be.
Sammy for the Rumble. That's a better one.
No, absolutely not.
That's better than Cody? Or not better than Cody, I mean?
No, better than Cody. Not for Gunther, though. Not better.
Oh, no. No. I'm just saying strictly for who's a better person to win the Rumble than Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, Sammy more so than Cody, but I'm all in on Gunther. I can't hop off. I can't hop off that. So anyway, so he declares for the Rumble, and then all of a sudden the lights go out. It's just like a spotlight on him, basically. And oh my gosh, okay, we get another Nakamura video, and I have to tell you, immediately I was freaking out because we have been saying for weeks, most people believed that his videos were meant for CM Punk. And obviously, once we saw him on the screen, that was not the case.
No.
So then, Cody's standing there. He's kind of all confused, like, what's going on? Because Nakamura is being like, oh, I've been waiting. Like, you finally did this. I'm going to create chaos for you, blah, blah, blah. Nakamura sneaks up behind him and missed him right in the face and then just takes a bow. And I was like, this is perfection. If it wasn't going to be CM Punk, I'm fine with that. I am so happy that Nakamura is getting this push. Like, it was great between him and Seth Rollins, and then he just kind of was in the middle of nowhere. And I'm so happy that they're still having him do these incredible videos, and now it's with Cody Rhodes. Like,
yeah,
brilliant. So good.
Mr. Anderson, I know you saw us in the comments, but yeah, this is great Muda. Great Muda. It was
fantastic.
The Miz inspired by Muda, who was, fact check me on this, but Nakamura was in a faction in New Japan called Chaos, and he said to Cody Rhodes, "It's time to unleash chaos to you." So obviously, he's not going to be bringing Suzuki, all those guys from that. He's going to bring that type of Nakamura to Cody Rhodes. And that is what's best for business. It is. It's just, we need to see that. WWE fans need to experience how truly talented Shinsuke Nakamura is.
And I'm hoping that they have it in like just a regular match, at least the first one, because I think that worked well with Seth. The last man standing match was fine, but you still didn't really get to see everything that is so incredible about Nakamura, obviously, because it's such a unique match. Like, they're not really doing normal wrestling. So I think that would be a really good match against Cody. And I love that we have like Cody is considered kind of Captain America comic book type of superhero.
Oh.
And then we have Nakamura, who's like the anime bad guy, and the way that they did that video package of making him into like the cartoon and stuff, like so epic, the stuff that they could do against each other. I love this direction for both of them. I think this was the best case scenario that we hadn't even considered really when we were trying to think of like, if it's not Punk, who is it? This I think is like completely the right move.
Swerved me completely.
For sure. Then we move on to another good match, which it feels like more people will finally acknowledging.
Big meaty man slapping meat.
Because when I was talking about Wade and Cole, they were like into this match. Like Wade was even saying like meaty. I don't
Monday Night Meat.
Yeah, something. It was just crazy. So
it's incredible.
It's so funny to me because this reminds me so much of how the audience has been responding to like Dragon Lee matches, and where like no one is reacting really at all when the guys come out, and then they prove to you why you should be giving a damn about the match, like halfway through, even though I'm not one of those people. I'm like, Dragon Lee, I'm like, I'm excited. And it's like, Ivar and Bronson Reed, like, yay, but like, they don't really get much of a reaction. I get it. In this instance, they're both bad guys. So like no one had anyone to cheer for, I guess. But they were really into it once they started going after each other outside the ring and then all around the arena. I was like, what is happening? Ivar doing like a moonsault off of whatever that was. Like, this is like, I want them to fight forever. I think that's what people were saying. Like,
I thought can we just going to.
I know, it was iconic. I'm just happy because it's something that even I think it was Wade that pointed it out, where he said it's like the evolution of the big man in WWE, where it's not just being big and strong. You need to be agile and you need to be able to do like all sorts of different things in the ring. That's where we're at now. And I'm like, yeah, it's not about a bunch of big shows running around. And it's like, wow, like, oh my gosh, you're such a big dude. I can't believe you're doing that. Or I'm scared of you because you're a big dude. It's like, no, Ivar and Bronson are legit. They're just two of them that are legit. And it's like, you look at them and you assume what type of performer they are based off their size. And then they're doing some crazy stuff. And you're like, what? So I was really glad that this got some good time and that people were excited. Like, you could see, like, visually see people were actually really into it.
They went off the top rope, for God's sakes.
I know.
Both of them. And then you have them. I will say, usually you hate having matches end in a count out.
Yeah.
Or it's perfect. You needed this match to end in a count out, and the way it did. Them just brawling throughout the arena and then even using the security guards as weapons.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just, and then Ivar, how do you top using a security guard as a lawn dart? I'm going to do a somersault off the barrier, rolling senton, whatever, tomato, potato, into the crowd of people. I want to see this match on a pay-per-view.
Yeah. I want Ivar to be at Mania. Like, I want Ivar and Bronson Reed at Mania. Like, I would love to see those two gigantic men in a match at Mania because we'll be there. Like, I would be their biggest hype girl.
Feed me a ladder match, like a 6-man ladder match for the Intercontinental title. 2 of them being Bronson Reed and Ivar.
It'd be great. I'm just excited that we are in that current time in WWE where Triple H understands the value of these types of guys, and it's not just they're being released by Vince McMahon because they're big and they're not Roman Reigns. It's like, okay, like Triple H understands. He knows what's up. Richard says put Ivar and Bronson in a cage. Oh, Lordy.
I don't think that cage would last.
Maybe the red cage.
Oh, that red cage. That's holding steady.
Yeah. Richard also says, I'm surprised they're doing Bronson versus Ivar, 2 heels, but hey, they are both great wrestlers. Big meaty men slapping meat. That's what we love. Big meaty men slapping meat. Mr. Anderson says Ivar and Reed will be the Dre battle. The Andre Battle Royal.
Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. No, they won't. Don't manifest. Although I will say, if we did get to see an Andre the Giant Battle Royal, I feel like that's WrestleMania.
I mean, at least it would be better than just giving it to Bobby Lashley because he couldn't come up with anything to put him in. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
that was the real slap in the face.
Yeah.
When he came out with it.
Anyway,
yes!
Our truth is back, which we talked about
What's
when
up?
we were in our Survivor Series reactions show on Sunday, but he is on Raw. So we needed to make sure we did that because you know what? He just showed up in the Judgment Day clubhouse with a plate full of jelly rolls, y'all. And he was covered in powdered sugar also, which I was like, me. And it's not even me trying to be funny. It's literally like I'm just sitting there eating, like, you know what we were talking about before we got live. I got some
you got that you have in your apple pie in the Judgment Day clubhouse.
Yeah, and I got apple pie in my hair. So anyway, so he wanted to let them know that he had heard they were looking for a fifth partner for the War Games match, and he said, "Hey, I'm in."
God.
And so Damien lets them know, like, "Hey, the match was on Saturday, so you need to get out of here." And R-Truth is like, "How did I do? How did I do?" And they told them that they lost, and so then Truth is like, yeah, but like, how cool is it that Randy Orton's back? And that was when Damien's like, "Get out, get out of here." And then they were pissed off because he ruined their couch with the powdered sugar and the jelly. So I am so excited that R-Truth is back, one, and I'm so glad that this is the direction that they're going in with him, because like they could have just had it be like a one-off with the sponsor at Survivor Series for Ruffles, and that was like his involvement. No, can you go full speed ahead with these segments? Because if we're not going to get him and all of these wonderful moments of him with like the 24/7 title, which were hilarious, like the 24/7 title was ridiculous, but like R-Truth made it funny and like watchable. If we're not going to have that, then do this. Like, I want to see this kind of stuff all the time, please.
You need this type of shit to break up the show.
Yeah.
All right. You need it to break up with the drama-filled fighting and the feuding, mic battles, all that. You need a comedic release. There is no one better than R-Truth to do that, because you can't take anything he says seriously.
Yeah.
But he says it with so much serious conviction that you're like, oh my God, like he's like really into it. But he's so good at it.
I
like
know.
His timing with everything is so well done. And like, I saw the tweets online about R-Truth made it out the Judgment Day clubhouse unscathed. I'm like, yeah, if someone's gonna punch R-Truth, you just feel bad. You're like, he doesn't know. You just like, oh, like, oh, him and Tozawa are the two best. And when they were Discord before the tag team turmoil, and he goes, "Tozawa, hit that jelly roll." So
yeah. Like, yeah. And that's the thing, is like,
it's awesome.
We say it's a lot of it's really reminiscent of the Attitude Era, where they, like we said, that a lot of those elements are coming back, because there were moments like that, especially like you know, with the Hurricane backstage, and with The Rock, or Booker T, you know, like the infamous thing with the lightsaber, and him and Goldust. Goldust was struck by lightning, like those types of things. Yeah, I know. Anyway,
the APA.
Yeah, so stuff like that, like it's meant to be funny, and I don't know, I like it because it's like, it's harmless, but it's hilarious. Like, I appreciate R-Truth.
Oh, how can you not?
That man is 50. Like, how does he look exactly the same?
I don't know. It's incredible. It's just, the man should be a Hall of Famer. Honestly, he has
longevity alone, 24/7 titles alone. You know,
he's like a 28-time champion.
Yes,
it's incredible.
So I didn't have a whole lot to say about this, but I did want to like dive into this, I guess, a little bit. So We did get a little backstage segment between Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark, and Shayna's just trying to be like, like you're cool, like you almost got the win over Rhea, like you'll get another chance and whatever. And then Nia comes in and is just like, blah blah blah, I'm just gonna squish everybody, blah blah blah. And then Shayna's like, Nia, you need to shut your hole. And I was like, ew, that is disgusting.
Did you see Nia's face? That was I died at that.
So then we get Nia versus Zoe. And that's fine. But the problem that I had was I didn't really understand the decision behind having Zoe get pinned only 2 days after she was in a title match with Rhea. That I felt like was a really weird choice, especially where Triple H had nothing but wonderful things to say about Zoe and Rhea, saying they both had the it factor and they're going to be stars, and Zoe proved that she can hang and blah, blah, blah. And then 2 days later, you have her literally be squashed by Nia.
Yeah, I empathize with your point. Agree too. But Nia's not losing. Like Nia's not gonna lose on Monday Night Raw to a little puny girl like Zoe Stark.
But she's not really
squashes.
puny.
To Nia Jax, she's puny. And Nia's not like most girls, so she's not gonna take the fall for Zoe Stark on Monday night. And I see Dickie here in the comments saying that Nia's the clear next challenger. So what a symbolic way to pass that torch or whatever you want to call it than by pinning the person who just faced her. I get that logic if you want to go there.
I feel like it could have waited, like it didn't have to happen literally 2 days after,
agreed.
Like, she could have fought Shayna instead. Like Shayna's not involved in anything.
I really wanted her to fight Shayna like that. I think this match was the only match I did not care to see last night.
Yeah.
And Shayna would have at least made me want to tune in.
Yeah, especially because they keep having their like little beef, like every week. And then we got The Miz decided to roll up on Gunther backstage and ask for a rematch. He approached Gunther and he was like, hey, I listened to what you had to say in the press conference after Survivor Series, and you said that whoever wants to go for the IC title, they need to come for you. This is the thing that makes him such a king, okay? Because Gunther was sitting there and they asked him like, oh, so who's next? Like, you just took down The Miz, like who's next? And Gunther is like, I don't chase anybody. People chase me. People want what I have. So whoever wants to face me next, they have to ask. They have to challenge me. Like, and I was like, yes, exactly. You're not like, that's how that attitude should be. Like even I would be more okay with Roman taking time off if he had more of that type of attitude, but at least was around for people to challenge. You know what I mean? And then it would be like, people wouldn't be wanting to challenge him because we're supposed to be fearful of him. Like he's the final boss. Like you don't want to get your title shot and then you lose, right? Like people wouldn't really be doing it, but at least he'd be around. This is the attitude that he should have. And Gunther, yeah, absolutely. So I love that Miz was like taking what he said and it was like, all right, well, I'm going to challenge you to a rematch. And Gunther does give him a little bit of praise. And he's like, I'm glad that you stood up for yourself and you came prepared for a fight at Survivor Series. You can definitely claim that you belong in the ring, but not with me. And I was like, yes, Gunther.
Great heel way to move.
He's so good. And the way he like smiled in his face, like it was so condescending, but like so perfect. I was like, Gunther, boy.
His facial expressions are so spot on, so good.
Yeah.
That he is who he is.
I know.
It's incredible.
Is that Walter or Gunther? I don't know.
It's two different people. It really is.
I am curious though if this does mean that they're going to have a rematch, or if this was just kind of like, just a tease, because it was relevant at the moment, or who is going to be Gunther's next opponent. That's what I'm curious about. But I don't know.
I just don't.
We're running out of a list.
We are running out of options. Like Bronson Reed did it. I mean, Ivar. Why not throw out Ivar? That's the only other person.
I've said that. It's possible we can do that. Maybe if he comes out victorious over Bronson Reed, then maybe he could be like, I want a title match now.
Yeah. Climb up those rankings.
So then we move on and we see that Drew McIntyre is not happy with Seth Rollins. So Seth comes out first and he is wearing his 101 Dalmatian suit and the matching finger gloves. And basically he just eggs on the crowd because they wanted to chant CM Punk, because most of them had probably already seen that viral video of his response to Punk coming out on Saturday. And he just is like, yeah, okay, get it out, blah, blah, blah. And he addresses his freak out from the weekend and says that he is not going to be talking about someone who doesn't matter, which he quickly tried to move on from that. But I do wonder, I even had someone text me like, do you think they're going to have Seth turn heel for Punk? And I'm like, it's clear they're not going in that direction right away of Seth versus Punk. I do think they're going to do it down the road. They have to. I think it's better that they don't do it right away, because it seems like there really is some real life beef between them, at least from Seth.
Oh yeah.
So it's probably not best to do that when emotions are still high. But I don't know if they could turn him heel. I don't know if Seth would make sense to be the heel. I mean, it does, but it doesn't.
It does in the sense that it can be because they just chant CM Punk now, and they're not chanting his song.
Well, they did last, but yeah, it would be.
But it was interrupted.
It would be questionable, I think. Like I said, emotions are high, and you can say that for the fans as well. They're so excited that CM Punk is back, so it's like, of course, Punk has to come back as a good guy, because it didn't make sense otherwise. But I feel, I think it has to happen weeks, like months from now. Like, it can't happen right now.
No,
but it would be interesting because I could see Seth being the bad guy. I think that it's just funny because, like, his stance really is like, I think that they have, or he at least has some sort of ill feelings towards Punk for whatever reason, because I don't know what happened. But I think also, part of it, I think, is going to be from a business standpoint for Seth, that he has an issue with Punk, because Seth has, other than Roman, basically carried the company, for like the last 10 years. And he should have been the guy over Roman, in my opinion. And I think he takes pride in that. And then for everything that he's done and like all of the accomplishments that he's made, and he really, really does appreciate WWE and everything in it. And so when then people like Punk, who obviously for the most part had like their career projectile forward because of WWE, hearing him go out there and just say like negative thing after negative thing after negative thing, even as recently as just a couple months ago, I think he takes issue with that.
Yeah, he takes it personal.
So I think that might be like, whatever their personal beef is, like I said, I don't know. I feel like this is just like on top of that, and that's why it's like so heated between them. That's just my take.
It's got to be the WWE shit talking on top of, I think, just Punk's history in different companies, and how Seth has been Mr. Loyal wherever he goes.
Right.
It's that dichotomy.
Yeah, for sure. So after he addresses that, Drew McIntyre interrupts, which I am here for, and he congratulates Seth, wants to shake his hand for winning War Games, and he also admits that it was kind of a mistake to align himself with the Judgment Day, because they promised him everything and they didn't get the win. And I was like, you know what? I'll forgive you for this moment. That's fine, Drew. And he said that he is going to put his focus on Jay on the back burner, because he needs to get back to what is the most important, and that is the World Heavyweight title. So he tells Seth that he wants a rematch. And he says, I knew that I was going to beat you when we had our match, and I knew that I was going to win after I hit you into the steel steps with your back. And he said, but I felt some sort of compassion for you in that moment, so I held back. And I was like, you know what, Drew? I don't appreciate that. Because I'm like, why? Don't admit
why
that.
Yeah, why are you humanizing yourself, man?
I know. So I was like, I get it, but I don't get it. So he's like, that's why I didn't take it a step further. And Seth is like, okay, whatever. I think other people are actually ahead of you in line to face me for the title. And Drew is like, okay, like that's fair. I understand. But like, if you don't mind, like, can you tell me like who that is? And Seth said, okay, well, I was coming out here to say that I will be having a title match next week on Raw. And he says that he will be facing Jey Uso for the World Heavyweight title. And that is
So
when
funny, bro.
Drew went off. And let me tell you, so did I, because I was literally, I was not happy about it.
I LOL'd so hard. It was perfect. That was a perfect moment.
So Drew gets pissed. Obviously, he headbutts Seth, which then busts him open, suplexes him, and it's just like this whole big mess. He even gets down to his little skivvies because his little skirt fell off. And then we see him in the back, and Sammy is trying to kind of like set him straight a bit, which kudos to Sammy. Sammy is so good. Sammy is another guy who is really good at not being a character. You know what I mean? Like
that's Sami Zayn.
Yeah, like or whatever his real name is. Yeah. Like he's so good at just naturally talking and making it seem genuinely conversational. Like it doesn't feel like he's acting or reading a script. Like he's so good at just coming off so natural. And this was another moment where I feel like that was highlighted. And it seemed like at first McIntyre was receptive until he was like, yeah, I'll just ask for a match next week. And he's like, against you. And then that was when Sammy was like, his life was flashing before his eyes. And he was like, oh. So my initial reaction was I wasn't pleased about Seth saying that he was going to be facing Jey because this is controversial, but I'm not a main event Jey Uso fan. Like I'm just not.
What?
I'm not like I'm not like. Well, you have to remember, I wasn't like a huge Uso fan to begin with. Like I appreciate and respect the hell out of them. Best tag team probably ever. So it's nothing against them. I'm just like I don't view him as a main event guy. Like it's still in my mind, I don't have him on that same level. Like to me, he's not on the same level as Seth Rollins, Randy Orton. Like I don't see him at that level. Maybe it's just me. That's why I'm saying it might be controversial. It's nothing against him. He's entertaining. But you know, my main issue was he's never even won a singles title. So I don't get why he gets a world heavyweight title shot. I also feel like he hasn't done anything that like has pushed him up the ladder in singles competition to be facing the champion. But once thinking about it and my emotions were died down a bit, obviously I get this is just continuing the Drew McIntyre Seth Rollins story, and that is why I'm okay with it, because then it's a brilliant move just to piss off Drew even more. And that is kind of heel like for Seth, which I love because he needs to tap into that a little bit. Oh, wait, do what you say when he does this.
Mr. Anderson.
Yes. Drew needs to take a chill pill, get to the back of the line, bro, for Seth's championship. You lost. Mr. Anderson. That is not okay. But this is the thing. Seth has given recent people that have faced him 2 title shots. He's given them all a rematch. So like Finn got a rematch. Nakamura got a rematch. Drew deserves a rematch. So I think it's going to happen eventually, whether it's before the Royal Rumble or it happens at the Royal Rumble. I think it's going to happen. That's why it's like it's okay, I guess, if this is like just in the him, you know, Rollins versus Jey in the meantime. That's fine. That's it. That's all it can be, though. It can't go further than that.
You don't want a triple threat?
No. Because that also feels like it's not the end for Drew. That means that I feel like they would have to be pushing that out, because it feels like when you want a feud to end or you don't want somebody to have another excuse to get a rematch, it needs to be one-on-one and like a solid match. You can't have an outside interference, or you can't blame, what was a triple threat? Because he could just be like, well, Jey was in the match and that's not fair. You know, like it could still be an excuse.
Yeah.
But otherwise, yeah, no, I'm not particularly into it. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's controversial. I know that.
I love main event Jey Uso. He's electric. The yeet. It's my brand 1,000%. and he's serious without being serious. He's just like
I enjoy Jimmy
he's
more, I feel
on the
like.
climb. Like to me, when it's the main event Jey Uso, he's saying that because he will be main event Jey Uso. But right now, he's on the climb to get there. I mean, for instance, like you gotta experience what it's like to be in the main event with guys like Seth Rollins, Finn Balor, Kevin
Mm,
Owens, like all the Roman, his cousin,
yeah.
to finally get to that point where you can be there on your own. And they've been obviously teasing him and previewing him in main event spots, especially the War Games. It's gonna happen. I'm a big fan of it because he can do it. He for sure can do it.
So I just only wanted to talk about this briefly. Chelsea Green and Piper Niven versus Natalya and Tegan Nox. It was a fine match. I'm really glad that Chelsea and Piper won and that they actually got a match to defend their titles, because that has been something that people have complained about, that they haven't had really any title defenses since becoming champion. And my main takeaway, as usual, is Chelsea Green is absolute fire. And I swear she has the best gear in all of WWE. Like, it's like every
She's
single
so
week
good.
she's outdoing herself.
She's so good with her gear.
She's so good.
So good with her gear, her mannerisms, like she gets it. I mean, it's inevitable, and I'm just waiting for that day to come when we put her in the title picture and we can get her off of these uh, the tag team title reign, and you can actually have her in a one-on-one feud with
Mm-hmm.
someone. That is that's what I want to see from Chelsea Green, because I didn't really get to see that side of Chelsea Green. I only saw the clips and stuff online when she was doing her indie run, when she was the indie queen with
Mm-hmm.
Matt
A hot
Cardona.
mess and a hot
Um,
mess thing.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. So
So that's all I wanted to say, because her gear was fire. But since we were just talking about Jey Uso, I wanted to talk about the backstage segment between him and Randy, when it appeared to be things got smoothed out a bit between them. So we see Jay approach Randy backstage as he's like preparing for his match against Dom Dom, and Jay kind of basically apologizes for everything that the bloodline did to him, which led to him being out for 18 months. And Randy kind of stops him and is like, "Oh no, it's like, it's cool. It's in the past. Like, Cody trusts you and a bunch of other people trust you here. And so, like, we're cool." But do you get the impression that maybe it's not cool?
and RKO is in Jey Uso's future. It's just a matter of
When?
when, and he's
Yeah.
going to do it at the most least expecting time. Like, he didn't forgive him. I don't think he would go into a whole feud with him for what
Mm-hmm.
he did, but he's gonna get his comeuppance when he least expects it, and then that's gonna be the moment where everyone's like, "Yep, there it is. That's his payback." Where
Mm-hmm.
for Solo and for Jimmy, because they're still with the bloodline, like that's where he's going to unleash hell. Where for Jay, he just needs a little bit of a punishment.
Yeah, I want to see it. I feel like we need to see it, because Drew has really been the only one outside of Kevin Owens that has really taken issue with Jay being around and like everyone just forgiving him and acting like nothing ever happened. And so I feel like it would be pretty cool to see Randy have that stance, even if it's just for a moment, even if it's just for an RKO. Because I think all of them have a reason to not like Jay or have an issue with him, but I think Randy certainly does. If we're, okay, well, you guys took me out and then I was gone for 18 months. Like, I think most people would be okay with
Ooh,
Randy Orton having a bit of a grudge against
yeah.
him. Like, I think most people would also feel that way. So, I'm on board to see it. Like, I'm glad that we didn't really get any sort of inkling that
Mm-hmm.
it could happen, but I think, like, these backstage segments and stuff like that, they don't happen on accident. So
Mm-hmm.
and then we get to what some people thought was the best, but apparently it wasn't the best because everyone's complaining about it online, which was CM Punk at the end of the show. And yeah, it's still weird, but here we are. So he basically just gets in the middle of the ring and gets a microphone. And he said hell has definitely frozen over because he is back in a WWE ring with a live mic in his hand. And I'm like, that is true, because it wasn't that long before he left where they cut his mic. Do you remember that? They turned his mic off in the ring.
Yep.
Yeah. But what I thought was really interesting, and I'm going to go over some of the big points I think that he talked about. This felt so much like the version of Randy Orton that we got at the beginning of the show, where Randy is not in a character right now. Randy Orton is just Randy Orton. And I think that that is appropriate because of how long he's been gone and whatever. It wasn't just like he was gone for 6 months and then he was back, you know, like a typical injury. It's a year and a half. And I think that's what this felt like from Punk. Like this felt like we were seeing Phil. You know, it wasn't Punk. And of course, I'm skeptical just like other people because we know how Punk is and we know that most people are just trying to make bets about how long he's actually going to last in WWE before he gets fired or whatever. And maybe that does inevitably happen, but I think this promo for the most part was exactly what it needed to be. I think, you know, because he says that he feels like himself again ever since Saturday night, like he feels like himself again. And then he goes into saying that an American Dream once told him, if you speak from the heart, it's the truth. And he said, the truth is that I'm home. And that to me was huge because, as he said, he kind of set it up feeling like, oh, it's kind of cheesy, but you know, like hearing that from him, I think was kind of like, oh, wow. You know, like I don't think that anyone was really expecting him to say that line, you know, because people do think it's kind of corny.
It is. And I mean, it kind of is home to him. That's where the CM Punk persona evolved into what it is today. Yeah, you could say Ring of Honor and even TNA a little bit, but like CM Punk grew and became CM Punk in WWE, and he's different now. He said that he's changed and he's grown older and changed and whatnot. And it's because when you get older and you go back to WWE the second time, you realize that the grass isn't really much greener on the other side, but you have to go do it. I did that was on purpose.
Okay.
And when you come back the second time now, like it's more his speed. He's now the older guy in the locker room. He's with a lot of his friends already. It's just a different vibe. And I saw someone kind of have a little conspiracy theory, if you want to call it, with Cody and his release from AEW or leaving AEW because of how he's perceived backstage and his issues backstage. Then CM Punk and his issues backstage. Obviously, I'm not saying that there's no issues in AEW with these guys and that it's all AEW. Takes two to tango. But it's all about environment. You got to think of it like a dog or any sort of house pet of some sorts. You know, how good is the environment? Because if the environment's good, then they're going to be well behaved, all that, and the best. And they're going to be able to be their best self. Punk can be his best self in WWE because he doesn't need to chase a title like he did before or how he did in AEW. There's other avenues you're going to go down. Brock Lesnar is the best example of that at this stage of his career.
Well, and we, you know, I think we have a video about it when we talked about it coming out. I think it's tomorrow about why Punk didn't work out in AEW. And you know, I'm the first one to criticize him because I'm not a CM Punk fan. I feel like I have to always mention that because people think I'm flipping around or whatever. But I do think other than what the current era is in WWE and where they're headed right now, being the perfect time for him to come back, it's the structure of WWE that I think is beneficial to Punk specifically because there are people to hold him accountable. There are people that like are, you know, if he's has some sort of shenanigans going on, that there are plenty of people in WWE that aren't going to deal with it and they're not afraid to say anything. And we've talked about how that can be kind of the problem with Tony Khan is like he can be kind of a pushover. And that's not going to happen in WWE. So I think he's at the right place at the right time. And like I said when we were talking about this too, I would like to believe that he understands the significance of them giving him this chance. I think that he probably is very aware that he's on a short leash. and that if he messes this up, then he has nowhere else to go.
No, this is his last chance.
Yeah, and I
Absolutely.
feel like that should be a huge reason why he will have like a shift in attitude. You know what I mean? Because like it's this or nothing, and then you're kind of done. You know what I mean? Like fans.
No, you have no more chances.
Yeah, exactly.
No more.
So, he goes on and says that for a long time he didn't know where he belonged. Hold on a second. Oh my gosh. Okay, are you still there? I'm sorry. My cat was just wreaking havoc on my and you just yeah.
Damn
anyway, okay, so he said that he didn't feel like he knew where he belonged for a long time, but he knows that he is in the right place now. He mentions how this fans never forgot about him, which we know because there were still CM Punk chants for basically sporadically throughout the last 10 years. And he said that that was powerful and that he appreciates and loves them all. He says that he is back and almost everyone was happy to see him, which he says except for some people. So he called out Seth indirectly, but he also called out Corey Graves because Corey was not happy about him being back either. So he specifically even said like commentary wasn't like thrilled, which I guess right now is good for Corey because he's on SmackDown. He's not on Raw. So that works. I forgot that they had probably some beef. He also shouts out AJ, says that she is doing fabulous and that she sends her regards, which I was like, cheap pop, but that's okay. I feel like he kind of had to do that because like people are talking about AJ. We had a video go up about that today. But then his closing line was saying, you know, that people are just nervous about having to face the truth, blah, blah, blah. And he says the most dangerous and controversial man in the industry just walked in the front door and there's nothing you can do about it. And then when he's facing the camera as they're going off air, they're playing his music, he says, I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to make money. So
my God.
I get that some people were disappointed because they had really high expectations. I don't understand the whole PG Punk thing. I think that's ridiculous because, like I said when we were talking before, he wasn't going to go out and drop some F-bombs. Like, I don't know what you thought he was going to do. He's not involved in any storyline yet. He seems like he's going to be a good guy. Like, we don't know yet. It was literally the first time that he had an opportunity to talk. So I don't know why people thought he was just going to go out there and do like a pipe bomb like he had been here for the last 6 years. Like, I don't get it.
Like,
but I felt give him time, you know?
Let it play out. Let it play out.
I feel like this was like a good start to his return though, because I feel like most people are aware of what went down the last time he was in WWE. Like, you don't even have to know what happened in AEW. You can just know he got fired, right? Like, you don't have to know all the details. But most people know, like, there was a lot of drama around his release 10 years ago, and we know about him suing the doctor and all this and that and whatever. So it feels like it would be ridiculous if he came out and didn't address that. Like, he has to address that he left, that things were weird, that he's grown, that he's changed, that he's thankful for the fans, that he's this and he's that. Like, he has to be kind of cheesy and corny. But that's
how you get back.
Well, you gotta get back. You gotta kiss some ass because of like it's not even just what happened when he got released. It's all the crap that he said since then, you know? And so I applaud him for that. And I think people need to just like embrace that. I also embrace the hell, or I applaud him, like forever for not taking any shots at AEW. Because
there was no plan of that. I was going to say that there was no plans of AEW.
Yeah, I love that he didn't say anything about them. I love that Triple H didn't either, with his picture with Punk, where he very easily could have done something. And taking hits at AEW, or I'm sorry, at WWE is a huge thing in AEW. So I'm really glad that like Punk didn't stoop to that level, because like, do they take shots at AEW? Sometimes, yeah, but it's not that often. And this was such an easy example for it was a scenario where he very easily could have done it and he didn't. And so I appreciate that. I thought that was
no reason for it. There's just no reason for him to do that, because it is a different fan base. It's a different audience that does not really care about the shots at AEW. They want to hear it so they can tweet about it, where AEW fans want to hear those shots because it shows. Oh,
Bless me,
they
sorry.
they want to hear the WWE comments or whatever to get that pop and make it be like, yeah, acknowledge them, like, you know,
Yeah.
it's whatever. Where WWE's, they're not on that level to do that, and Punk is clearly not on that level to do that as well. So
Well, they
I
don't
just
need to, you know, like we're not thinking about you guys. Like,
no.
and Punk would be kind of silly to alienate some of his fans. You know what I mean? Because there might be some AEW fans that are fans of Punk that might kind of at least come over to watch and see what Punk is doing in WWE, even if that's the only thing that they watch. You don't want to alienate a fan base at the other brand that you either had with you or gained while you were there. You don't want to like talk crap about the company that they love, you know, like
Yeah.
that's not a good move either. But yeah, I think people just need to wait and see.
Punk's a needle mover and will bring a lot of
Yeah.
money, and he already is the number one selling shirt. And it
Great
took
great idea for them to do it in black also.
great idea.
Because a lot of them were white. So I think that it
White
was a good
stains
move.
easily.
True. But I also think like he didn't have that many black shirts for the most part. Most of the ones that he ever had were white. Besides
And the
Nexus.
yellow. No, the yellow one too.
Oh yeah, the
You know
yellow
what I-
one. Yeah.
Which, you know, it's a funny story about the yellow one. Apparently, when he was a heel, that was when he was wearing the yellow one, and he wanted to not have good merch sales because the heel, like all
Mhm.
that.
And it didn't
So
work.
he picked a terrible color
Mhm.
like yellow that he had to wear, and it didn't work because
Mhm.
people are that obsessed with him. Like it's
You have to see
unbelievable.
it didn't work for Cena. Cena has
That
red,
and
orange,
that's the
yellow,
other
green,
that's
blue,
the,
purple,
that's the
black,
other
white.
end, where you're just throwing different colors. Like, let's just see what they buy. But
Yeah.
see, like with Punk's like, no, I don't want this because I'll heal and I want to protect myself and be evil. So give me the worst color. Seems like, hey, we sold great with red.
Yeah.
Blue is okay. Let's throw purple.
Yeah.
Like, it's
literally
unbelievable.
he's done every color at this point. So
Yeah, the Skittles, the Rainbow of Cena.
yep.
That's incredible.
Yep.
And that was Raw.
That was Raw.
That was Raw. It was a hell of a Raw. See, wasn't too bad, guys. We got a lot done in that episode. A lot of things were introduced
Mm-hmm.
and swerves. I mean, I'm excited. It's Rumble season, and Sarah, because it's Rumble season,
Mm-hmm.
I had this other brain blast when we were about to go live. That because it's Royal Rumble season, I get to start my rewatches of Royal Rumbles. Okay.
Oh yeah.
And we're going to incorporate that into Thursday's shows. Maybe that
Okay.
might be the 3 count, maybe 1-3, whatever. But here's the thing. I do it. I want the peeps to do it as well. All right. Watch, get all the Royal Rumble content that you can, and then let us know what your favorite Rumble match was. What Rumble match, whether it is the match itself, pay-per-view in total, or just a match from it that I should watch, and I'll talk about it. Maybe that's
Mhm.
will do something. But you got to do it. All right. I can't do it unless you give me the information, because I'll just watch whatever. I'll watch 2000 Royal Rumble for the millionth time in a row. Where like maybe let's watch 2011 or 2012. Like I don't know. I've watched them all at this point. I just give me what your guys' favorites are, and we can talk.
Daddy's back.
That like this is the like that smile is so genuine.
Yes. Even my mom wanted to see him. She was like, "Wait, let me see Randy," because we were like, "Mom, he's a
looking
beefcake
good.
now. Like he's jacked." And she was like, "Oh, let me see." She was like trying to watch because she doesn't watch wrestling, obviously.
Obviously, no.
But she was like, Randy Orton.
Drew Carey getting eliminated by Kane is easily a top 5 moment in my opinion. That is so funny.
That is a nightmare come to life. That era of Kane was horrifying.
Yeah. Kane is terrifying.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Glenn Jacobs is too.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for tuning into this edition of the Raw Rewind. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and bell notification to know when we go live. And in the meantime, check out all our videos on what we've talked about already. All right. Maybe you or yeah, maybe you're interested in what we talked about, what Survivor Series, what our actual thoughts are about CM Punk, the War Games matches, and whatnot. And you missed that stream, go over and check those out, share it with your friends, and then follow us on all the social media platforms, which are in the description below. And we'll be back on Thursday for the Hodgepodge show, as I call it. What the hell's going on? We'll tell you what's going on Thursday. So until then, thank you guys for tuning in. God bless. Remember that you can do it. All you got to do is try. See you on Thursday. See ya.